hang with me here. This is a very black or white conversation. There's no dancing in the middle on this one. After this weekend, on Monday, are we going to be talking about Michigan as a national championship contender? The last true freshman to get this done at the quarterback position, obviously Trevor Lawrence, has one of the best freshman seasons we've ever seen from a quarterback in the college football level. Here's the thing. Trevor Lawrence wasn't even a starter week one. Bryce Underwood was, and was anointed like the guy even against the New Mexico team because of how well he played. Now comes a much bigger challenge. With all eyes on Michigan and Oklahoma because it's the only ranked matchup this week, with Michigan going down as basically a touchdown favorite to Oklahoma. You walk out of Norman with a W and a win, I think it's going to be pretty hard to say that they're not going to the playoffs. Look at the team's schedule the rest of the way. They don't have to play Penn State. They don't have to play Oregon. They don't even have to play Illinois or Indiana. Michigan, if they can walk out of this game this weekend in Oklahoma, in Norman, has a very good shot of playing Ohio State the last week of the season in Ann Arbor, by the way, with an undefeated record. No matter what, you go into that game with an undefeated record, you're going to the playoffs. Even with this strength of record that would say Michigan didn't have the great schedule, it wouldn't matter. If you go 11-0 and you play in the Big Ten, you're going to the playoffs. So if Michigan can go down to Norman, upset Oklahoma, Bryce Underwood looks like the better quarterback compared to John Mateer, who comes over from Washington State, the best transfer in the nation last year. Bryce Underwood outperforms him, even if he doesn't, and they lean on the run game, which is probably the way that they're going to do it with Justice Haynes. If that's the case, and they walk out of Norman with a win, head back to Ann Arbor to take on Central next week, and they're 2-0, how could we not on Monday be talking about them as national championship contenders? They're not going to have another test the rest of the season until Ohio State. They're going to walk into that game potentially 11-0, God forbid some like ridiculous upset to Northwestern, Washington. I mean, honestly, guys, the toughest games they have left are Nebraska and Michigan State, both on the road. And that's like kind of me sitting here telling you I'm thinking a little highly of Michigan State as well. But Michigan's still like on a different level than all those teams I just named. So unless they have some crazy collapse and lose to a team they outright should not lose to, it feels like if they win this game and they beat Oklahoma, as crazy as it sounds, they're probably punching their ticket into the playoffs as early as week 2. I know it sounds ridiculous. I know it does. But if they win this game, I think on Monday we're talking about them as national championship contenders. And I can see Kyle back there just shaking his head thinking this is disgusting behavior from me over in this room.
Well, look, there's a difference between punching their ticket to the playoffs and national contender or national title contenders, correct?
Yes.
Because I do honestly agree with you that, like, if they beat Oklahoma, yeah, they would really have a difficult time missing the college football playoff.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you would just expect them to only, like, if the only game that they should lose is the Ohio State game, and obviously no Michigan fan even feels like they're going to lose that game anyways, which why would they? So it would take some upsets for them to fall. But you and I have both discussed how there are not 12 teams that can win the national title. 12 teams make the college football playoff.
Yes, but can we at least see like 6 weeks before we can determine how many teams can win a natty?
You just said we're going to declare them a national title team after week 2.
Because I think they're going, like, it'd be pretty hard for them to miss the playoffs. That's what I'm saying.
Is Oklahoma a national title contender?
Probably not if they could lose this game to a freshman quarterback.
No, right now are they?
Yeah, sure. And can everybody say they're a national championship contender?
I'm asking you. I'm not asking like in general. Can you see Oklahoma winning the national title this season?
I don't know because I haven't sat down and watched an entire Oklahoma game, and their game last week was against a nobody. I don't know yet.
Right. So that's why I'm declaring that. That's kind of where I'm going with this. Like, how can you say Michigan is going to be in talks to win a national title after week 2 when they've beaten a New Mexico team and an Oklahoma team that we don't even really know how good they truly are? Because it's week 2.
Okay, but if they win and punch, like you agree, right? They win this game, it's going to be pretty difficult for them to not make the playoffs.
Right. Some bad stuff would have to happen.
What's the difference between week 1 or week 2 saying they're national championship contenders, or them being in week 10 and being 10-0 and saying they're national championship contenders when they don't have any real tests the whole time, regardless, other than Oklahoma?
Did you think Indiana was ever a national title contender last year when they were beating everybody they played?
No, I did not.
Right.
I was very anti-Indiana last year.
So, and obviously the Oklahoma win would be a better win than any than Indiana win last year. So,
correct.
But I'm
Indiana's
just saying,
best win was Michigan last year.
I truly don't think that you can say they're national title contenders legitimately until the Ohio State game. Because this Oklahoma game happens too early. I don't think that we can just say a freshman-led team, as good as Bryce Underwood is national title contenders this early. And maybe if there was a test game in week 8, if there was
against Sparty,
if there was a Penn State in there, if there was a team that they don't really play a true team that you think can win the title until Ohio State all year.
No. They don't. But Oklahoma's supposed to be a pretty good team. It's not like Oklahoma's some pushover. If you can win a game on the road at Oklahoma, that's a pretty good sign.
It totally is, of course. But correct me if I'm wrong, to win the national title, you have to beat other teams that are also trying to win the national title.
Correct.
And Michigan just doesn't really have the opportunity to do that until the end of the season.
Look, I'm not saying that they should be like the favorites. That's not what I'm saying. But like, I think we at least have to start like talking about them like that if they're going to like if they're going into the postseason or even into the Ohio State week, which is week 14 because there's 2 bye weeks now. If you're going into that one undefeated, then you're 1 win away from talking about them as national title contenders. So why not just do it early? Why not just, if you think they're going to beat Ohio State, which I know every Michigan fan out there believes that they're going to, then what difference does it make?
Because then in week 4, if they come out and disappoint against Nebraska and play bad, you're all of a sudden completely flipped on your opinion because, oh man, this is their toughest game remaining until Ohio State and they played poorly in this. Ugh, like now what am I supposed to think of this team? It's just tough to commit to that so early into the year.
It's fair.
And I really don't think – and maybe it would be different if it wasn't a true freshman, but this doesn't happen,
No, it doesn't.
This is just something that doesn't – as good as Bryce looked, like I'm not trying to discount him by any means, and it really isn't even his fault. It's just this is something that doesn't happen in the sport, especially in this version of the sport that guys like John Mateer are leading these other programs, These super experienced vets that have played at different places and are just way older than an 18-year-old Bryce Underwood.
Yeah, I almost hope that when the raw stats, like at the end of the game when you pull up the box score on Saturday night, I'd almost expect John Mateer to outperform Bryce Underwood, but that's mostly because I think they're going to lean on the run game pretty significantly if you're Michigan and Chip Winsley. Like, you should be leaning on Justice Haynes because I think to ask your freshman quarterback, as talented as he is, as highly recruited as he was, as special as everyone thinks he's going to be, to ask him to put the team on his back and kind of be the reason that they win on the road in Norman, like that's a lot to ask for him. I think they lean on Justice Haynes. I think they lean on Bryce Underwood's legs. We didn't see that last week against New Mexico. I think we kind of unleash him in the running department this weekend as well. I can't wait to see how they try to attack this Oklahoma team that like you said, they bring a lot of experience to the table with John Mateer. This is going to be a good game this week.
It is. I'm excited. I mean, it's a little bit of clashing play styles, I think. I mean, Oklahoma, we know how Big 12 football goes. Like, they're going to really try to play super fast, air raid type offense. Mateer can use his legs as well, like extremely well. So I'm excited to see the Michigan defense up against them.
Mm-hmm.
And like you said, I mean, there's also a world where if they just dominate Oklahoma, then I'm like, was Oklahoma even that good? Because I think that some people are really even considering that side of things.
Not Vegas.
Once again, not to discount Michigan, but like we've talked about all the pressure that's on Oklahoma. Like if they lose this game, like there's much more pressure on the Sooners, I would say, than the Wolverines.
100%.
And it just feels like, what if they're just like similar to last season? Oklahoma just disappoints and they're middle of the SEC once again, Well,
Oklahoma last year was like, it was some of the worst quarterback play you could possibly see.
And they've obviously made major upgrades in the portal this past offseason. So interested to see how that goes. But I think that's a scenario that also could play out here.
Michigan, they could lose this game, and there's still an avenue to make the playoffs. You have a rookie
Of course.
Freshman quarterback. You've got a second-year head coach. You're still going to be one of the top teams in the Big Ten, and you're building towards something great. With Oklahoma, they lose this game, and what I believe the record I said yesterday was 25-17 for their head coach right now. Like, you go right back to the middle of the SEC. You're going to be underdogs in 5 more games this season.
Right.
Way more pressure.
Especially when you moved there with Texas, and Texas has just been, like, as of this point, extremely successful since joining the conference.
Right. You lose to a freshman quarterback at home. Yeah, there's going to be some external pressure looking down onto your program. 989-837-6125.